rise, and yet sales are rising, and that's mainly thanks to the rich. 8 months into 2025, the share of new cars costing more than $50,000 is almost double what it was 6 years ago. And it's not just because automakers are charging more across the board. It's because the share of vehicles at the highest prices has grown.
Reality is, the automakers are in the business to make money. And this market, because of higher income households buying a greater percentage of the vehicles, has shifted to the upper end. Like it or not, that's the reality if you look at the numbers.
While dealer profits were up 20% in Q2 2025, economists are concerned. A lot of Americans are struggling to pay bills and get loans. Meanwhile, companies are growing ever more reliant on a smaller share of consumers.
Okay, real quick before we get going here, I wanted to give a shout out to Andrew. Thank you so much for the Cash App. I appreciate that. Was not expecting that, but that was a great surprise nonetheless. I really appreciate that. I never asked you guys to support the channel, but when that happens, I'm very grateful for it. So it just puts the wind at my back, lets me know that someone out there appreciates this information. And I'm just a guy here rambling on YouTube. Having said that, please don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate you guys. And lastly, dealing with a little bit of a head situation, head cold. So if I'm a little nasally, I apologize now, but try to get through this in one piece. This video, if this is not a clear indication that the economy is unbalanced, which anyone who's paying attention should know that. Just when you look around, I mentioned that article. I forget the article and where it was written, but where they talked about essentially 20% of the population is keeping the economy afloat, and of that 10% is really driving the market. It just shows you that 20% of the population is driving the economy as a whole as we know it. So that leaves 80% of us irrelevant. If that doesn't give you chills or send a shiver down your spine, I don't know what will. So it's essentially meaning like they don't necessarily need us. They are, and when I say they, I just referring to the 20%, because I don't know who they are specifically. Excuse me. I don't know who they are specifically, but I would assume, if I had to just guess, they definitely are in a much older age bracket. I assume possibly a lot more boomers in there. And that's not to take a shot at them or anything like that. It's just a fact. And obviously a lot of the tech guys out there, there's some pretty obvious ones out there. But at any rate, point is, I wanted to review this video because I think car sales has always been an indicator. Just like I talked about Vegas being that canary in the coal mine, I think car sales generally play a role in that too. How people are feeling the economy, if people are generally feeling positive about the economy, then you'll start to see auto sales go up. That's always been, the trend, if you will. And I think what we're seeing now, really ever since 2020, or shortly thereafter, 2022 and on, people are hanging on to their cars a lot longer. A lot of people are repairing them. It's funny because I was just out this weekend, and one of the things I noticed, and this is a weird thing to notice, I don't know why I did, but I saw lots of nice cars. I'm talking higher end vehicles, luxury vehicles. Your Mercedes, your Range Rovers, and stuff like that. And I noticed a few of those cars have bald tires, like smooth, no tread left. And I was like, man, these people have these really nice cars with no tread. And in my brain, I'm like, if that's not an indication of the economy, I don't know what else is. So anyway, without further ado, let's get into this and let's let them unpack and let's see what we have here. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe.
For sales.
If that bubble bursts, that has pretty dramatic implications across the economy because so many companies have become so focused on catering to the demand of those high-end consumers.
We either need a much more viable, lower cost alternative, or something needs to happen in the financial markets that really loosens the ability for those buyers to purchase.
CNBC dove in to understand why the rich are propping up the new car market and what it says about the U.S. economy. In 2019, just about a quarter of new cars cost more than $50,000. Now, it's nearly half. Just about 7% were over $60,000. That number is nearly quadrupled. And above $70K, that has more than tripled. The average monthly loan payment was $749 in the second quarter of 2025, almost $200 more than it was in the same period.
I don't ever take a minute here, kind of fighting the sneeze off. There's no reason why you ever need a $750 car payment. Please, for the love of God, don't ever ruin your financial future and do that. Oh, I can afford it. Excuse me, guys. I'm powering through this. I can afford it. No. That's not the point. That's $700, $750. You could be investing somewhere else. You could be, stocks, saving up for a down payment, whatever it is. One of my rules for the few car notes that I've had in my life, and I haven't had many, I've always walked in, and I've never bought a new car. I've always bought a used. If it wasn't used, I didn't even bother looking at it, because those cars just depreciate right there. And then my rule is like, once I become a millionaire, you become a millionaire, okay, you want to go out and splurge to get yourself a nice car, go for it. Beat yourself up. Till then, don't have your net worth tied up in a vehicle. Please don't. But my goal is like, look, if my payment doesn't have a 2 in front of it, I'm walking out the door. I've said that literally. And they, oh, Mr. Davis, doesn't have a 2 in front of it, we're not even talking. I don't care if it's $2.99. If it's not a 2 in front, I'm not sitting down. So 7 just blows me away. Just goes to show you I won't be in that dealership anytime soon. But anyways, I just had to stop and say that. Please don't ruin your financial future by doing this.
2019. Leases were $612, also up. About 15% of monthly payments, including leases and loans, are over $1,000. There is something to be said for the idea that popular cars these days are just built to be expensive. Increases in new technology, safety equipment, some of which is federally mandated, new powertrain investments such as fuel efficiency and hybrid and EV battery technology, meeting stringent US regulations, and providing choice, these all cost money.
We have over 600 variants in the market. We have a regulatory environment that requires homologation. It's incredibly expensive.
But some numbers suggest car prices haven't risen that much compared with other metrics. Based on government data, motor vehicle prices have outpaced overall inflation by a bit, but not overall wages and salaries. On average, customers are paying about $49,000 to purchase a car. That, of course, is an average. About a quarter of new car sales went for less than $35,000. What is really going on is automakers are selling a lot more of far more expensive vehicles, and those cars are pulling up the average transaction price. The share of buyers with more than $150,000 in income made up 12% of all purchases in 2025, more than in 2019. That group is roughly at least twice the size of any other income group among new car purchasers. Here's a snapshot of the 10 most popular vehicles in America and what they sold for in June 2025. Of them, 5 are pickup trucks, and all of those, except the mid-sized Toyota Tacoma, cost more than $60,000. In the US, there are more vehicles for sale above $100,000 than there are below $30,000. That doesn't include exotics like Ferraris.
This started during the chip crisis, when the automakers were restricted with how many semiconductors they could get. What did they do? Well, they're smart business people. They prioritized making the most profitable vehicles, the highest priced vehicles, higher end vehicles, and they sold, mainly because there was limited supply out there. And that was the beginning of the shift within the market.
Add to that, tariffs.
This has been kind of a common theme. If you haven't noticed, it's been popping up in several different industries because this happened in real estate as well with the home builders. Home builders could no longer make standard entry home profitable. That 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom home, two car garage, about 1,500 square feet. They couldn't make the numbers work on that because the labor costs during 2020 just went crazy. I looked at home prices just about, well, in the two markets that I'm in Atlanta and Portland, everything just about doubled. If you go look at Redfin or Zillow, geez, Redfin and Zillow, and you can look at when the homes last sold for. And if you go back typically 5 years ago, you'll see in most markets the home prices doubled. So I say all that to say, uh, it's happening even in the car market as they're alluding to. So very interesting. 2020 really did a number on us, to say the least.
Tariffs, which are adding up to $5,700 to the price of each imported vehicle.
The reason that's important is because it's had a disproportionate impact to the lower entry level models, just reducing that
Same as the
inventory
homes.
and availability.
Some economists say what is happening in the auto space is an indicator of a much larger economic phenomenon.
In terms of overall consumer sentiment, gap between high and low income adults and our morning consult's daily data is as wide as it's ever been.
I promise you guys I did not watch this. It's just common sense. You just look at the numbers and go for it. It's exactly what I'm saying. It's just it's another indicator of how healthy your economy is. Um, we're in for a ride, guys, and I don't see any way out of this. I think again, if you guys haven't done it yet, you need to go subscribe, and you can give them, let them know Melodic Investor sent you over. Subscribe to the channel. Uneducated economist Simon. He does a phenomenal job of breaking down monetary policy and different economic theories, and the way he breaks down is masterfully better than I could do it for sure. Like that economy is his thing. I always use economy and different things to look at real estate because that's my thing. I love real estate, and all things business related. I'm a junkie when it comes to that stuff. But there's a problem, and the only way to solve it, you hear all these politicians thinking that they have the answers and they can fix it. It's not fixable. Um, it's not fixable. America's not going to become the number one manufacturer in the world. I think those days are behind us. Mainly because you're not going to be able to compete with someone who's willing to sleep on a third floor. Period. It's just not. We're just not built like that. Having said that, the way you want to get in front of it, pay off your debts, live on less than you make, invest in assets that can grow over time and kick off some dividends, and don't splurge. Don't buy new cars. Don't get too much house. It's the simple things, honestly, that's going to be able to distinguish yourself and to be able to help all of us avoid, economic disaster. Excuse me. Don't move into luxuries. That's not to say you can't enjoy things. That's not to say you don't work hard, but get your financial house in order before you start to splurge and enjoy yourself. And honestly, there's no fixing this, because in order for us to fix this, we'd all have to do that together. We'd all have to reduce our quality of living, how we're living, become savers, manufacturers and savers over a very long period of time. Move out of luxuries. We'd have to, as a society, we'd have to do it simultaneously. Until that happens, we're not fixing this. Because you got 20% floating the economy. That's essentially saying 80% of the economy doesn't matter. just make sure you keep those services. We need people to work the services, and if people don't want to work the services, then bring in the robots. I mean, it's really that simple. Don't want to get too lost in the weeds on this, but this is a very fascinating video. If you guys are interested, I'm gonna leave a comment. I'm gonna leave it in the description in the video. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, share, and you guys let me know what you think. And pray for me. I'm gonna get through this cold, and we'll go from there. All right, see you guys on the next one. And shout out again, Andrew. Thank you so much. You know who you are. Appreciate the donation for buying me a cup of coffee with the Cash App. That was very generous of you, and very unexpected. All right, take care. Bye.